Hello, grade 4 teachers, and welcome to your May Pacing Guide overview. I am your elementary social studies consultant, Samantha Davidson, and you can reach me at samantha.davidson@ecsd.net. All right, so let's get right into it. So please note that for the month of May, I am able to plan with you, come out model lessons with you, can look at visible thinking routines, and all those things. So please reach out if you want to work on any of these outcomes for the month of May or any other curriculum. So for the month of May, we are looking at continuing to look at critically examining Alberta's changing culture and social dynamics and looking at specific case studies within here. So one thing, again, to mention, our curriculum is quite old, and we want to make sure that anytime we see the term Aboriginal, we are using the term Indigenous, and we are educating our students on why we use the term Indigenous. Aboriginal implies ownership. So we want to make sure that we are honoring the term Indigenous when referring to the Indigenous peoples. And again, more and more specific as you understand and learn more. So if you understand and learn Blackfoot, then we're going to be talking about Blackfoot people specifically, or Métis, for example. So we're looking in what ways have Indigenous peoples and communities changed in Alberta over time? Really important to talk about contemporary. So what are Indigenous communities in Alberta engaging with? What are some successes? What are some showing that vitality and the thriving nations that are amongst us within Alberta? So that's going to be an important piece. Then looking at multiculturalism in Alberta. So really we're looking at how has legislation changed? How have communities changed? What were some of the push and pull factors that drew people to Alberta to live here in Alberta? And then looking specifically at the Francophone community and how the Francophone community also has increased in multiculturalism. So when we're looking at social studies, we know the vehicle is going to be our skills and procedures. So that is going to be the vehicle that we kind of work through. This is what our students need to do with these specific content outcomes. So we're going to continue working, as always, on developing critical thinking and creative thinking. We want to evaluate local and current events specifically here. What are some things that are happening right now in our communities that can showcase how these communities have changed over time? We want to reevaluate opinions. That's another really important piece. And that's where those visible thinking routines come in, is helping to students to reevaluate. Before I learned this, now how have I reevaluated my opinion, or how has my understanding changed through this? We do have opportunities to look at some historical events as well as some contemporary. We want to look at geographic thinking. So what are some of the geographic reasons why people are moving to Alberta? And then again, of course, applying our research process, skimming and scanning as our research, gathering information, organizing it in graphic organizers. Really important. We want our students to start drawing conclusions. So we're not telling them what happened or what cause and effect. We want them to draw those and support their own conclusions based on their research. And then finally, demonstrating those skills of oral, written, and visual literacy are going to continue to be important. So within the pacing guide, we of course have the same kind of structure with instructional strategies, reading comprehension, student activities, writing opportunities, because in order to have a rich, robust social studies class, we need all of these things happening. We need our students to be engaging in visible thinking routines. We need them to be practicing reading comprehension, whether it's fiction, narratives, or nonfiction, whether they're reading from the textbook or a different resource, a kayak magazine. What strategies are they using in order to gather that information? Are they annotating? Are they using graphic organizers? Are they skimming and scanning? Are they drawing conclusions from their reading? So those are all there. And again, if you need any support with incorporating reading strategies into your social studies blocks, please just reach out. Happy to help. So then within our student activities, we have Histories of First Nations People in Canada, in Alberta. This is a conversation guide, so it really helps you explore the histories, documents that are in there, looking at that oral conversation, and lots of strategies found there. Stepping Stones is another great resource to develop background knowledge and historical thinking. Have our students create timelines and then conclude with what does this connect, extend, challenge thinking routine. So how did learning about this or creating this timeline connect to what I already know? How has it extended what I know? And what are some challenges or questions that I still have in regards to this? Really essential that we talked about this, that you include contemporary Indigenous stories in order to illustrate the continuation and thriving of Indigenous communities in Alberta. Sports hero education experience, for example, to show that. Another great resource is Fireside Chats. Now, this is for created by Christine Malott. And one of the things that she talks about in here is job opportunities and things like that within Indigenous communities. Some of the chats, make sure you're just reviewing them first because some are for high school, junior high, and things like that. So I want to make sure that you watch the entire interview before you go ahead and use that one in your class because, again, not all for elementary. When introducing ideas multiculturalism, we're going to look at, rebellious read alouds. Those are some resources that have been around. There's PD sessions done on it. If you want any ideas on how to do rebellious read alouds in your classroom, please reach out to me. I worked with our EDIAR specialist on that. So we've got a list of books that can help support it and then a list of activities to help students understand. Mentor texts that you have from the Language Arts Mentor Text Bundle, Name Jar, We Are Water Protectors, all of those different ones are going to help with that. Highly encourage teachers to get students involved in the Edmonton Regional Heritage Fair. I'm actually going to click this one open here for you. And something also to consider when planning for next year as well. So there is a Canadian Heritage Fair, but then there's also Edmonton Regional Heritage Fair. So it's an opportunity from students from grade 4 to 9 to research, write, present projects on a topic in Canada's history. So of course it can be their own, it can be geography, it can be culture, heritage. So they're going to be shown, of course, at your school. And then there's a one-day fair as well. And so in this case, the Heritage Fair is in person. So if you want any additional information or support on this one, please reach out. This also went in the swag. So if you already know about it and already on to it, great. It might also just be something that you kind of put in your back pocket for next year. But as you know, the fair's on, or as you can see, the fair's on May 4th. So quite timely for our outcomes in May. All right, so then as we continue going through the pacing guide, we're going to look at multiculturalism. To catch up to me, there we go. All right, so we have how has multiculturalism evolved over time? So that's when you can really use the diversity within your classroom, talk about people's stories. They can share, how they came to be here in Alberta. And again, using that Heritage Fair is a great opportunity for them as well. All right, using the Alberta and Francophone timeline to highlight historical events and case studies, municipalities thriving, Francophone map, which is really great. You can discuss how communities, what causes communities to thrive, why is it? You can look at geography, you can look at history. And then again, like I said, we want to make sure that we're continuing to embed cooperative learning structures. So we don't want to do a new one every month, but it's important that they get used to the fan and pick so they understand how to respond and how to have those conversations. Chat stations are a great way to get through some of these heavy reading materials where you can kind of separate them throughout, and inside outside circles are another great one. Focusing really on cause and effect as a text structure this month would be great, not only for English language arts, but again for social studies. So cause and effect analysis, have each group identify 3 significant causes. There's an entire walkthrough on that. And then meeting of cultures of creative dialogue. And there's, of course, the written response frameworks. As always, we have the triangulation of assessment. So what are some conversations we can look at to develop critical thinking? What are some conversations we can have to look at geographic thinking? What can we observe our students doing? And what various products do we have? And then finally, in our resources, we have First Peoples Map of Alberta, Histories of First People in Alberta, the Stepping Stones, Fireside Chats. All of these resources are here. We've got a list of the mentor texts. And then we've got another reading here of The Day I Became a Canadian. The Canadian coat of arms and emblems of Alberta would be great to have up in your classroom. So again, I hope you find this resource helpful when looking at the pacing guide. I hope the video helps to kind of clarify anything in there. But as always, please feel free to reach out to me, samantha.davidson@ecsd.net, or on Teams. Happy to help, happy to chat about planning, coming out and modeling, anything that you might need to help support your teaching in the month of May. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.